Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Bahamas. Good morning to our participants on the Ministry of Finance's Building Business webinar series. It is day 2, and this morning I would like to acknowledge a special guest that we have presenting with us today, the Honorable Senator Kwesi Thompson, Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance. I'd also like to recognize Permanent Secretary Elise Delancey of the Department of Digitization and Transformation. And I'd also like to acknowledge Dr. Walden Russell, the Chief Executive Officer of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce, along with all of our other panelists and participants lined up for day 2 of the Building Business webinar series. Thank you again for joining us. We have a very exciting lineup of talks and trainings for you today. If you missed day 1 yesterday, we were talking about the new legislation that is coming into effect under the Ministry of Finance, the Public Procurement Act, and all of the transformation that is bringing to the process of securing and awarding government contracts. We talked about the Public Financial Management Act, which is going to transform how the government operates and manages public funds. And we talked about small business development and the ecosystem that we're building for entrepreneurs in the country, led by the Access Accelerator Small Business Development Center. We had a lot of interesting discussion, and if you missed it, the session is available on the Ministry of Finance's Facebook page, where you can go and replay, rewind, stop and pause, and watch and view all of the sessions from yesterday. And today we have lined up a few activities for you, including a presentation from the minister, a presentation on a number of business concessions and tax incentives that are available to the business community. And finally, we're going to have 3 training sessions because the Ministry of Finance is using a number of software applications in order to facilitate the delivery of its services. And we want to make sure that you are familiar with these platforms and trained in how to apply for the various services. We are live again on Facebook today, and so we are expecting persons both who registered for the Zoom session and who will be tuning into our Facebook Live feed. So welcome, and I thank you once again for joining us today. Without further ado, I would like to introduce the Minister of State for Finance, Senator the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, who will be welcoming everybody and opening our session today. Minister, thank you for being with us, and I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you very much, Noel, and a pleasant good morning to all. I'm pleased to join everyone on day 2 of the ministry's Building Business webinar series. I understand I missed an engaging session yesterday, but I know more lively discussions are on the agenda today. I thank those of you who are back and those of you who are joining for the first time. In the last 4 years, our country has endured 2 unprecedented crises that shocked the Bahamian economy. Of course, I'm referring to Hurricane Dorian and the coronavirus pandemic, both of which continue to affect Bahamians on a personal level and on a national scale. Every day, the pandemic is claiming Bahamian lives, unfortunately. And I take this time to implore you and all Bahamians to follow the Ministry of Health public safety guidelines. Mask up, socially distance, and get vaccinated so that together we can reduce the spread of the virus and save lives. Since the start of the pandemic, the government's #1 priority has been providing critical support to citizens and businesses facing economic hardship, while expanding the necessary safety net to support those vulnerable. We developed an aggressive and forward-looking plan to meet the enormity of the dire situation while building resilience beyond the pandemic. Last year, we invested well over $300 million in actualizing the Resilient Bahamas Plan, funding COVID-19 public health and safety measures, unemployment assistance, small business continuity loans and grants, and tax credits for small businesses, and payroll support. We set the foundation for accelerating government reform, recognizing that sustainable economic growth requires us to tackle some of the big fundamental structural issues that have stifled growth in the past. This year, under the Accelerate Bahamas Plan, we continue to sustain our support for public health and social welfare initiatives while shifting our governing posture from recovery mode to growth mode. This morning, I want to recap why we are taking this approach and show how it relates to topics being discussed in the Building Business series. What I hope you take away from this recap is an understanding that our fiscal reform agenda and our investment in private sector growth and small business development is not by chance. It is a part of an articulated strategy to build an economy that is resilient, dynamic, sustainable, and inclusive. It is a part of a strategy to create structural shifts in the way our economy works, in the way it serves the Bahamian people. As a nation, we are working towards our full economic recovery to pre-crisis levels, not to mention our medium and long-term plan for accelerated economic growth. So how do we create accelerated economic growth in the middle of a global economic crisis? Here's our solution. Build a foundation for greater private sector participation and better government facilitation. These two strategic goals are at the heart of the Accelerate Bahamas plan announced during the budget exercise. As a government, we want to see greater private sector participation in the economic life of our country. And we want to be better facilitators of our private sector growth. We believe that our country does well when we create a dynamic environment for the private sector to grow and innovate. One example of our efforts to facilitate the ease of doing business and reduce the barriers to starting a business is the recent cabinet approval to remove the requirement of the pre-checks conducted by the Department of Physical Planning before a business license is issued to a low-risk business in order to significantly reduce the business license approval time for the majority of Bahamian small businesses. The removal of the physical planning pre-checks will simplify and shorten the process for obtaining a business license and therefore encourage new businesses. This step slows down the issuance of a business license, as even the smallest, most low-impact home-based small businesses must be visited by physical planning personnel. Removing this step will both speed up the issuance of business licenses to low-risk home-based businesses and radically improve the utilization of available skills at the department and allow them to focus on enforcement and more suitable oversight activities. The Department of Physical Planning will be advised of all applications submitted to the Department of Inland Revenue for a business license in order to carry out their spot checks If the business is in breach, the Department of Inland Revenue can initiate the procedures to either suspend, restrict, or revoke the license. The ministry will remove the physical planning pre-checks for businesses that are deemed low risk and where the applicant certifies that the business will not be conducting any material modification to the business premises, and in the case of home-based businesses, that they will comply with the usual restrictions imposed by the Department of Physical Planning. Further details will be announced on those businesses that can take advantage of this new process and the procedure and timeline for applying. Our plan recognizes that by expanding and motivating private sector participation, we can create more robust pathways to increase employment, stimulate economic activity, and therefore increase revenue, not just for the public purse, but increase revenue for the private sector as well. Today, we will hear the technical team outline a new tax incentive that was designed to stimulate private sector employment, to create job opportunities that carry the potential for sustainable long-term security and professional advancement for Bahamians. Similarly, you will hear about the concessions we created as a part of the new special economic zone in the Southern Family Islands. These concessions gives residents and businesses new impetus for investing and jumpstarting local family island economies. Yesterday, you would have heard how the government's investment in the Access Accelerator Small Business Development Center has helped to build an entire ecosystem to support entrepreneurs throughout the country. As of July 31st, 68.1 million in total funding has been approved and facilitated through the Access Accelerator initiatives with the support of the government. Again, our focus here is not happenstance. The Accelerate Bahamas plan deliberately seeks to leverage limited public resources gathered through the productivity of hardworking Bahamians in a more strategic way. Our plan recognizes that by expanding and motivating private sector participation, instead of solely relying on government employment or direct government payouts, we can create more robust and sustainable pathways to reduce unemployment, stimulate economic activity, and ultimately strengthen the government's own fiscal position. In terms of government facilitation, the Ministry of Finance has embraced reform and transformation fully, committing ourselves to accelerating the type of reforms that will improve the ease of doing business and modernize our operations all around. Legislative reform is one area we have prioritized, as it ensures a strong governance framework is in place to support the economic and social development of the country now and in the future. Legislation shapes how we operate as a government, and it influences the quality and standard of operations in the public service. By modernizing and enhancing fiscal management legislation, specifically where we are helping to remove structural impediments to growth and to deliver more digital and business-friendly environment. In the past 4 years, this administration has implemented the most extensive public financial management reform agenda in the history of the Bahamas. We are well into implementation of the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2018, and we are continuing to forward march on our reform agenda by implementing the package of new fiscal management legislation enacted earlier this year. Yesterday, you would have heard presentations on the Public Procurement Act and the Public Financial Management Act. These laws, together with the new Public Debt Management Act and the Statistics Act, will create monumental shifts in the way we manage public funds. They will enhance efficiency, transparency, and accountability in the use of public resources. So I encourage you to get behind the reform efforts and to support the public officers who have the mammoth task of implementing the sweeping new fiscal legislation across the entire public service. The process will not happen overnight, but we have a team committed and have a team of committed officers who will make the change happen. As I close, I want to say a special thank you to the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation for supporting this event, engaging with the ministry regularly, and always keeping us on our toes. I hope you thoroughly enjoy today's session and that you take the necessary steps to benefit from all of the new opportunities available. We need all businesses to register on the e-procurement and supplies registry so that you don't miss out on the new opportunities once the new Procurement Act takes effect on September 1st. And lastly, we encourage you to participate in our various concession programs by applying for the Employment Incentive Tax Credit Program. I want to also thank all of the members of staff from the Ministry of Finance. They are a dynamic, intelligent, dedicated team. And I want to say thank you for all of the hard work that this team does. Thank you for your time and attention this morning. And I ask you to stay safe. And I wish you a productive session and a great day. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, Minister, for that overview and presentation. We appreciate your time today. And the Minister is leaving all of our participants in the capable hands of the technical team at the Ministry of Finance and our supporting agencies in order to carry us through the rest of the day. And so we are going to keep moving along in the program, but just be reminded about the Minister's announcement about some of the ongoing changes taking place at the Department of Inland Revenue to simplify the process for registering a new business and obtaining a business license. As I'd mentioned yesterday, DIR is very far along in its digital transformation process. And not only is it moving processes online and bringing more automation, it is also simplifying processes to cut out unnecessary steps and to help to do things more efficiently. So moving forward, the public can look forward to the fact that the Department of Physical Planning will no longer need to do physical inspections of every single premise, particularly for small businesses, to allow the business license process to become even faster. So we are going to continue to dive in today about all of the business concessions that the minister alluded to help to grow and support the private sector, as well as the other reforms taking place within the Ministry of Finance. So I am going to move on to introduce our next two speakers, who come from the Revenue Department of the Ministry of Finance. That is the department that is responsible for managing and fielding all of the applications for the various concessions and tax incentives that are available through the government. So this morning, we have with us Mr. Talman Bryce, who serves as the Senior Assistant Director of Revenue at the Ministry of Finance. He has also served as the Deputy Head of the Revenue Section for the past 6 years. And as a public service worker of 33 years, he brings forth a wealth of knowledge and expertise to his work. He will be joined by Mahalia Bootle, who is currently a revenue analyst at the Ministry of Finance with over 21 years of expertise. She is a university graduate with a bachelor's in economics, finance, and business administration. We thank and welcome Mr. Talman Bryce and Mahalia Bootle. Turning it over to both of you. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for that introduction. As mentioned, my name is Talman Bryce, and I'm with the revenue section here in the Ministry of Finance. And in keeping with the theme of the webinar today, we will be reviewing those concessions that are available to the Bahamian business community. Now, some of these concessions have been around for decades, such as the Cottage and Light manufacturing concession, which is basically designed to assist or to promote development of manufacturing. Other concessions have been around only for a few years. They include the Over the Hill Initiative, better known as the EEZ, and also the clothing initiative. So if you're a clothing retailer, you're allowed to bring in your clothing materials duty-free. But there are also some new concessions that the minister alluded to that just were introduced during the budget exercise. They came into effect on July 1st. And concessions would include the small and medium business exemption, the affordable homes exemption, and the family island development encouragement exemption. Now, like I said, all of these were introduced just recently, and they all came into effect on July 1st, 2021. They all will have to be accessed through the My Gateway portal. Now, to give a brief overview of all these concessions, we have with us Ms. Mahalia Boodle. She's an assistant revenue here at the revenue section, Ministry of Finance, and she's intimately involved in the processing of these applications. She will briefly walk you through the concessions I just mentioned. So further ado, I will introduce Ms. Mahalia Boodle.
Yes. Good morning, all. Thank you for having us this morning. Protocol having already been established, I wish to thank you for having me along with my supervisor, Mr. Talman Bryce. My name is Mahalia Boodle, Revenue Analyst assigned to the Revenue Section, Ministry of Finance, and I will be speaking briefly on those concessions offered by the government of the Bahamas. As of July 1st, 2021, mygateway.gov.bs was launched with 3 additional new concessions and the extension to the Special Economic Recovery Zone SARS order. These new concessions include the amendment to the SARS order, affordable home exemption, small and medium business exemption, and the family island development encouragement exemption, CDO. The Special Economic Recovery Zone SARS order has been extended as of July 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021. For those persons in Abaco and Grand Bahama that were devastated by the aftermath of Hurricane Doreen. However, the amendment to the SARS order limit the amount of items granting concessions, and these are the following items that are on the approved listing, such as building materials, plumbing fixtures, electrical fixtures, and hardware supplies. Please note, vehicles are no longer included in the new amendment. Under the SARS order, the payment of business license, real property tax, and value-added tax VAT are exempt and processed by the Department of Inland Revenue. We're moving on now to affordable home exemption. Affordable home is designed to assist young Bahamians to become homeowners solely for the purpose of constructing a dwelling in one of the approved subdivisions granted by the government of the Bahamas. This exemption applies to the following service lots in Carmichael Village, Prospect Ridge, Gambier, and Family Island lots. Applicants have up to 2 years to claim concessions such as building supplies and materials, furniture. Furniture concession will be approved subject to receipt of occupancy certificate issued by the Ministry of Works. This provision expires December 31st, 2023. As of to date, no applications were submitted for the affordable home exemption. Moving on to small and medium business exemption. Well, small and medium business exemption was introduced to stimulate in the promotion of economic activity for businesses, whether you are new or existing. The following is required:
John,
a current business license, a tax compliance certificate, TCC, and an IB. New business will be exempt from customs duty on the following: building material, first time inventory as it relates to your business, and a vehicle. A logo must be permanently fixed on the vehicle, and equipment and machinery. They are the requirements and the items that you will be qualified for under the small and medium business for this one as it relates to new business. Sorry about that. Existing businesses can also benefit only if they are expanding to additional location or on property. The annual turnover must be 5 million or under. The following are also exempt from customs duty: building materials, first time inventory. Inventory can be granted on existing business only if it's a new or secondary location, or the expansion on present property by the increasing your business square footage on property. You can bring in a commercial vehicle with the company logo fixed permanently on the vehicle, equipment, and machinery. Moving on now to Family Island Encouragement Exemption. This exemption is applicable to Bahamian citizens and business owners. The extension granted is to accommodate those islands in the southern Bahamas, such as Acklins, Andros, Cat Island, Crooked Island, and Nagua, Maguana, Long Key, Long Island, Ragged Island, Rum Key, and San Salvador. Under this provision, these are the items that are allowed customs duty: building materials, commercial equipment and related fittings, commercial furniture, commercial machinery, electrical fixtures and materials, fishing equipment and apparatus, hardware supplies, household furniture, furnishing, and appliance, excluding cell phone, tablets, or personal digital assistants, motor vehicle, plumbing fixtures and materials, solar panel and related equipment and fittings, equipment for land clearing. Businesses must provide the following document: a valid business license, business NIB, invoices or quote. And under FEDIA, real property tax, business license, and value-added tax is exempt as they are processed at the Department of Inland Revenue. From July 1st, 2021 to yesterday, which is the 18th of August, 2021, there were 168 applications submitted under the My Gateway portal. Here's a breakdown of the applications. For small and medium businesses, 136 applications, SARS 12, FEDIA 20, and Affordable Home 0. There were a total of 49 approvals with a total value of 1.2 million. When making application on the My Gateway portal, please ensure that all the necessary documents are uploaded to the system, as these are needed for the processing of your application being approved. The My Gateway system does not allow you to make any changes or upload any documents to your application after submission. To access My Gateway portal is as follows. Step 1, visit mygateway.gov.bs. Step 2, click on the Service tab, then click on the Ministry of Finance tab. Click on Apply for the concession desired. Complete and filled out all the relevant fields that are applicable to your application, and then click Submit. Moving on to the cottage and light industry. These applications are available on atlas.revenue.gov.bs. The cottage and light industry provision is reserved for individuals who wanted to become manufacturers, particularly designed for persons who want to engage themselves in manufacturing and assembling. The procedure requires, when applying for exemption under Tariff Code 9818 of the first schedule to the Tariff Act, the following documents are needed for manufacturers when making an application for exemption for raw materials and equipment. The applicant must apply online at atlas.revenue.gov.bs. Applications must be completed given quantity, tariff code, description, and value attached. A copy of a current business license and tax compliance certificate is needed. Please note, new applicants must attach copies of the first 2 pages of the passport and NIB. Application must be submitted on the atlas.revenue.gov.bs portal for approval. Approved application is valid for 1 year from the date of approval. Cottage and light industries, I'm going to show you an application sample. The first page of the application must be filled out, given a brief synopsis of you, the individual, or the business. Page 2 is to list all raw materials items to be imported. Page 3 on the application is a list of all the equipment and machinery as it relates to your production. Please take note of pages 2 and 3. There are 4 columns on each page. In column 1, specify the quantity. The use of this column is for you to list the amount of items needed on a yearly basis to avoid having to revert to the Ministry of Finance every time there is a shipment. In column 2, all items must be tariff coded on the application. This code is the descriptive code for each item that the applicant will be importing into country. This code can be obtained from either a customs broker or a customs officer, or if you're familiar with the codes itself, you can also place those codes in the appropriate field or area. In column 3, you must give the description of the items you are importing. And in column 4, you must state the value of the items. Additionally, we are asking all businesses to submit their application for renewals at a minimum of 2 weeks prior to the expiration date of their current approval. Please note, as of today, we have approximately 1,011 small business registered under the cottage and light industries. Moving on to Economic Empowerment Zone, EEZ. This exemption is available to Bahamian citizens and business owners. To benefit from this exemption, you must live or have a business in the approved zone area. Applicants must obtain an application from the Ministry of Finance Revenue section, as this form is not readily available on the Atlas or My Gateway portal. All fields on the application must be filled out as it relates to your property or business. Resident must show proof of ownership. Business must have a turnover of 5 million and under. Under the EEZ provision, the following are exempt from customs duty: building materials, electrical materials, equipment, vehicle for the business, and a logo must be permanently affixed on the vehicle, furniture, carpet, landscaping materials, and plumbing materials. Under the EEZ provision, payment of business license, real property tax, and value-added tax, VAT, on realty transaction is processed by the Department of Inland Revenue. The clothing exemption. You must create your business account on atlas.revenue.gov.bs. Application must be completed in its entirety. Business license, tax compliance certificate, a pricing analysis, government issued identification, and invoice. And to access the Atlas system, please visit atlas.revenue.gov.bs. Register your business for the clothing, then click and apply for the concession, whether it be the clothing or Cottage and Light. Thank you and have a good morning.
Thank you very much, Ms. Boodle and Mr. Bryce, for that overview of all of the various concessions that are available to the business community. And if you didn't, or if you weren't aware of all of those, then definitely this session was for you, because we want to make sure that businesses are applying and taking advantage of these opportunities that have been made available to support your own growth and development, particularly right now during this pandemic when we know many businesses are under a lot of economic strain, and so every little bit counts in order to support your operations. We are going to facilitate questions. We will have both Mr. Bryce and Ms. Boodle available to take any of your questions. And just a recap, they really presented for us an overview of about 5 different types of concessions that are available, 6 concessions that are available to the business community, including the concessions related to the Affordable Homes Program, concessions related to small business exemptions, and that's for new and existing business, concessions related to the Southern Islands and the special economic empowerment zones. The cottage and light industries have available concessions that are targeted at them. The concessions for persons doing business and importing clothing and shoes and the like. So there are a lot of different programs that are available to the business community. We want to make sure that you understand them, you're aware of them, and most importantly, that you are applying so that you will be able to take advantage of those benefits. So I'm going to open up the floor for any questions that our participants or online audience may have. So the first question is about the small business exemptions. Could you share with us, is this an ongoing program? Is this program specific to the budget year, the 2021-2022 fiscal year? Or is this an ongoing, permanent program that is available to the business community? That was specifically the small and medium business exemptions that you mentioned in your presentation. Ms. Boodle?
Yeah, good morning again. Yes.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Bryce.
Came into effect July 1st. It's ongoing. I'm not 100% sure if there's a time limit, but if it does, it's probably for the 2-year period, but it will be subject to renew at the end of the 2 years after we review it. But it's available right now from July 1st.
Okay, great. So that means that for now, there's no real deadline to apply. Persons can apply for these exemptions at any point in time.
Yes, that is correct. Provided that one, you're a new business or you're an expanding business. And expanding we mean that you're either adding an additional location or you're increasing your square footage for the existing business, but you will be a new business will be exempt. Mm-hmm. You can apply for the exemption.
Okay, and it is defined as a small and medium business exemption. So does that mean that what are the parameters that define who is eligible as a small and medium-sized business?
Yes, yeah, there is a turnover limit. So once your annual turnover is below $5 million, you can qualify for consideration.
Is under
Okay.
5 million.
5 million, yes.
Okay, so no disrespect to the large businesses, the major hotels and the Atlantises of the world, but this program is specifically designed for the smaller operators.
Okay, since you mentioned Atlantis, for instance, there's something called the Hotel Encouragement Act, which Atlantis and Bahamas and all those could qualify exemptions. This exemption was specifically designed to assist those small guys because they were basically saying, listen, the big guys are getting stuff and we're not getting anything. So we specifically designed this to allow for the small businesses to participate.
Okay, so meaning the benefits that the public is often, speaking about, that the hotel sector or other maybe foreign direct investors, these concessions that they often are afforded. What you're saying is that this new small and medium business exemption program is really to allow smaller business to benefit from those same types of concessions.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay.
So they could get building materials, your first time inventory. So if you're a new business and you're starting out and you want to restock your shelves or increase your physical plant, you allow those first time. If you're an existing business and you're going to a new location, an additional location, you could also bring in your first time inventory. You can also get a vehicle for that business, and there must be a logo on the vehicle, but you're allowed a vehicle and building materials.
So it doesn't matter if I am opening up a car wash or a car dealership or a barbershop or a new food store. Any type of small business is available to get these exemptions on importing their equipment, on their inventory, any type of business.
Yes, the only qualification is one, you must be new and you must be expanding. So if you're an existing business and you say, oh, well, I just need a car, just for my business, but I'm not really doing anything additional, you won't qualify. But you would have to show us proof to us that you're actually expanding to get the exemption, or that you're in new business.
Understood. Okay, well, definitely we want to encourage businesses to make application to the Revenue Department. As Mr. Bryce indicated, these applications are now all online, either through the Atlas portal or the My Gateway portal. And of course, later on today, we are going to be walking you through each of those portals so that you can see exactly where to go and how to make your application. And so those are two names that you need to become familiar with, the Atlas portal and the My Gateway portal. Both are how you can apply for these different benefits. The next question we have coming in is about the affordable homes concession. And the question is, how many times can somebody apply for the affordable homes concession?
Go on.
Ms. Boodle, could you go ahead and let us know how many times can somebody apply for the affordable homes concession?
For the affordable home concessions, as it relates to the building materials, you can apply. We're asking persons out there to apply. We are hoping just for a one-time applications for the building materials. And with the furniture, we are asking that after the home would have been complete, then persons can apply for the furniture once they would have had in their possession an occupancy certificate issued by the Ministry of Works. So for the building materials, we are hoping that it could be a one-time application. If not, it will be done in a 6 months interval, somewhere in 6 months process. But as it relates to the furniture and appliances, you can only be granted the approval once you would have had in your possession an occupancy certificate issued by the Ministry of Works. And going back, I just want to add something in as it relates to the small and medium business. The larger businesses can also apply for concession, but they would not apply here at the Ministry of Finance. They will have to apply at financial services and investment under the IEA, Industries Encouragement Act. So we haven't left the bigger companies out. They can apply at financial services and investment under the IEA provision. So I just wanted to insert that there.
You said, sorry, that's for programs for larger businesses are available through the Ministry of Financial Service and Investment.
Yes, and that falls under the Industries Encouragement. It deals with that.
Okay.
Office of the Prime Minister deals with the hotel encouragement to accommodate the hotels.
Okay, understood. Could you, Ms. Boodle, go over the list again of the locations for the Affordable Home Program?
Okay. The service lots, is that what you're referring to? We have the Formica Village, the Prospect Ridge, Gambia, and Family Island lots thus far.
Okay, great. Thank you. A person online wanted that list again. All of this information as well is available on the Ministry of Finance's website. On the bahamasbudget.gov.bs website, we will be updating and providing also all of this information. And of course, on the Ministry of Finance's social media pages, we continue to share all of this information. So the next question is, again, about the Affordable Homes Program. Is this program just for first-time homeowners in order to participate in the Affordable Homes Program?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. The other aspect, and you had mentioned that the location for the affordable homes included the Family Islands. You named specific communities in New Providence, and then you also said in the Family Islands. And does that mean every other Family Island, including, every Family Island, Grand Bahama, and the like?
So basically, the way it would work would be that the Minister of Finance would, in an order, specify the areas that qualify for exemption. So it's up to the discretion of the minister to say, well, X Island will be included, but it has to be done by an order. So, but the Family Islands, we just want to let the Family Islands will also be included in this. We'll be able to participate in this program.
Okay, great. Okay, the next question is, there's a person who is indicating that they are opening up a convenience store. So if we could use this maybe as a case study, they are opening up a convenience store and they would like to know which of the concessions are available to them.
If they open up a convenience store and this is a new business, then they could qualify for the exemption. They could bring in the inventory for that new business. If there is a convenience store, an existing convenience store, and they're expanding to an additional location, that means they're not moving from point A to point B, but they're doing now they're going to have 2 locations. They can get that inventory for the second location.
Okay, great.
And the vehicle as well, yes, and vehicles as well. Again, as long as the company vehicle is affixed to that vehicle.
And another person wanted to know if they bring in the vehicle and they didn't get to put on the logo immediately, will they have to pay for everything on the car and then come back for a reimbursement?
Well, currently there's no reimbursement. Currently, we're working with the Department of Road Traffic. So once we grant approval, you're going to take that approval to customs and say, I have the exemption to allow me to bring in this vehicle. You'll be able to take that vehicle duty free, but then you have to immediately put the logo on. Like I said, we're in the process of speaking with road traffic, and we're thinking of probably placing a bonded plate on these vehicles so that we know that these ones were the ones that were brought in on a duty free basis. But you would take the approval from us to apply for the duty exemption from customs.
Okay, thanks. The example of the convenience store, if we go back there, what about the employment incentive program? This is the program that allows businesses who are hiring new employees right now to benefit from some tax credits. Could you speak about that program and if that would be available to this convenience store that's starting up a new business?
Honestly, that program is really being administered out of the Department of Inland Revenue. I'm not too familiar with it to speak on it like on any authority, but it's under the Department of Inland Revenue.
Okay, so we will get some more information on that program to share with you today because the Ministry of Finance through the Inland Revenue Department does currently have a employment incentive program, and businesses are able to apply for that at this time as well to provide some payroll support for any new employees at this time. So we definitely will circle back on that and bring somebody, get somebody to share a bit of information from the Inland Revenue. The next question is about fishing supplies. Is there exemptions available to get duty-free permits on fishing supplies?
Yes, there is. Currently, there are two. Under the Tariff Act, you're allowed, once you're a registered fisherman with the Department of Fisheries, you're allowed to bring in your fishing equipment duty-free. But with this new act that came into effect July 1st, it's the Family Island Development Encouragement Act. Fishing materials can also be bought in duty-free under that act. So basically, there's two acts now that would allow for you to bring in the items duty-free.
Okay, and on the small business concessions, if an application is denied, is there any recourse? Can a business reapply? Is an explanation provided for why it was denied so they can remedy it? Could you speak to that process, please?
This is the small business. Yeah. Okay. As it relates to the small business, once persons apply using the My Gateway platform, they are denied for really simple reasons. Some of them were denied because their tax compliance wasn't attached to their current application. Some of those were denied because they give wrong value to their items. And they were not denied really for really simple reasons. So therefore, we would contact the applicant, let them know, or sometimes when we deny, they would in turn call the Ministry of Finance Revenue to find out why is it that their application has been denied. And we would explain what it was, and we would ask them to resubmit because the My Gateway platform doesn't allow you to make any type of adjustment. So therefore, you will have to reapply. But most of the applications that are online or that we deny is for really simple issues. And that's either the tax compliance certificate, the business license, or they understate their value on the goods being imported. So it's really for simple reasons. But they can reapply.
Okay, great, thank you. And that's just an encouragement to businesses, and we emphasized this yesterday as well, of making sure you stay current with your tax obligations because there are many opportunities available, and oftentimes businesses get blocked because they didn't have a business license and they weren't compliant with their taxes. So that's something that the more you stay up to date with those as a business is the easier it is for you to take advantage of these various opportunities. So please, we encourage businesses to go through the process of getting and securing their business license. The process does not take a long time for most small businesses, and the Department of Inland Revenue is constantly revising its process to cut out steps and to simplify the process more and more. As the minister would have shared a new initiative this morning about the removal of the requirement for physical planning to visit all locations. So please get your business license up to date, Get your taxes and your tax obligations in order so that you are not able to, so you're able to participate in all of these programs. On the Atlas and the My Gateway platform, which we are going to be going to very shortly, again, if your application is denied, you can reapply for these programs. But if you do it right the first time, that will really cut down on the wait time and save a lot of headache. So please, we encourage you in that way. We have just a few final questions before we are going to move on to our next session. Okay, and this question is related to the economic empowerment zones. Could you go over again, what are the benefits? So if you live or have a business in these economic empowerment zones, specifically in the southern islands, what are the benefits that you get if you apply for these concessions?
Just as a quick record, so if you're talking about the economic empowerment zone, that's really the over-the-hill incentive. So you're allowed building materials, a vehicle for your business. Again, you must have a turnover under 5 million, and you must be located within the zone, in the approved zone.
Okay, so it's really on any building material or equipment that you need to import for your business, you will be able to benefit from exemptions, duty and other tax exemptions.
Yeah, under the economic empowerment zone.
Understood.
Now, these persons can qualify under the small and medium-sized businesses as well. But again, they got to be new or expanding.
Understood. Okay, great. Well, that was our final question. Oh, yeah, that was the final question from our participants and online audience. So we are going to wrap up this session and thank Mr. Bryce and Ms. Boodle for their presentation and facilitating these questions. Moving forward, again, we are going to go into a presentation and a training on the actual platforms where you will go in and apply for these various opportunities. After which we'll also have some additional questions about the platforms. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker, who is going to be facilitating the portal demonstration of Atlas. The Atlas portal is where you go to apply for a number of these programs, and Mr. Charles Miller Jr. will be walking us through that. Mr. Miller is a business analyst at the Department of Digitization and Transformation with 3 years of experience there. He holds a bachelor's degree in information technology and business administration. I'd like to thank and welcome Mr. Miller, who is going to give us a demonstration of the Atlas platform, which will be supported by some video tutorials that he will also guide us through. So welcome, Mr. Miller.
Good morning. How are you? Yes. So today I'll be going through the Atlas portal, and I'll be applying for a clothing and shoes exemption. Okay? So as a user, the first thing you're going to do is go to your favorite browser and then navigate to atlas.revenue.gov.bs. Okay? Then you will go to Sign Up. When you select Sign Up, you will input your user information. So this will be your first name, your last name, email address, and preferred password. After you input this information, you will select Create a New Account. So I'll demonstrate. Then create an account. As you see, after I create an account, it sends me directly to the dashboard. The next step, you will add a new business, which is at the top of your screen. You will then fill out the appropriate business information. So you will add your business name, your business number, your first and last name, email address, and then you will upload your business ID or the owner of the business's ID. Next, you will add your TIN or your tax identification number. And then input your tax issue date. And you will be able to select the calendar to the left. And input that information. Next, you'll put in your street address, P.O. Box, if applicable, island, phone number, years in business, years of business, number of employees, and then lastly, you will load your business license and tax compliance certificate. Once you're done filling out all of your information, make sure to review your information, then select Submit. Okay? Now, this will then show you the list of exemptions provided by the ministry. So what we're doing today is a clothing and shoes exemption. So also on the left-hand menu, you will see a list of exemptions. You can also click clothings here on the left and select new application, and it brings you to the new application, okay? When you reach the new application, you'll then select the business you just created, enter your business turnover rate, and then add the relevant tariff codes that are associated with your invoices. After you add your tariff codes, you will then add your invoices. Notice that you can upload multiple invoices or just one if you wish to. You may also remove an invoice if you made a mistake. Next, you can add additional attachments. This will be receipts or anything of that nature. And lastly, you will add your pricing analysis. If you would like more information on the details of this or the business requirements, please contact the Department of Revenue. After you're done filling out your new application, you will then select Submit. And as you can see here, your application has been submitted, and you can go here and select Show, and it will show you what you submitted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. We are going to just talk a little bit more about Atlas and, again, see if persons have any questions to facilitate that. So, Mr. Miller, could you just again, how long that process? I mean, you're very familiar with the process, so obviously you walked us through just now, and it took really fast. But for the average user who's coming to Atlas for the first time, how long should they expect this process to take?
Well, this process will take anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes. To some users, you may have a long list of tariff codes. That's probably the most lengthy part of the process. So my suggestion is that you become familiar with your tariff codes in reference to your invoices before attempting to make the application. That will facilitate the application moving a lot smoother.
Okay, and if somebody has a new business, so they don't have any turnover as yet to report, do they still need to put in the expected turnover?
Well, I would ask the Department of Revenue specifically about that, but you do have the option of entering 0 if you do not have a turnover rate.
And just confirming, Mr. Bryce, are you still with us?
Here. Yeah,
Okay, yes. Could you
the
speak to that,
turnover
please?
isn't absolutely necessary. It's just more for statistical purposes and for I'm analyzing the whether we should give approval or not. But it isn't really absolutely necessary.
Okay, and I think this one also is for you, Mr. Bryce, that once somebody fills out this application, what is the time period, the wait time for the approval process to take place?
It should take no more than, say, 2 or 3 days. We would then contact you if there's an issue, but it should take no more than 2 or 3 days. If it is, you can give us a call and we'll find out what's the holdup.
Okay. And Mr. Miller, could you show us again, where do we find, we register and we get into Atlas, and we want to see, okay, where are all the different applications? How do I know if I'm applying for the affordable homes? Where is it that I go in the Atlas program platform?
Well, the Affordable Homes application is located in the My Gateway portal. The Atlas portal does not have the affordable homes. On the Atlas portal, you'll see on the left-hand menu, it'll show you all of the available exemptions. So I don't know if the screen is still up, but you can see here that we have clothing, COVID-19, employment. So these would be the list of exemptions, and then I would defer to the Department of Revenue to facilitate any additional information on how these exemptions are provided after they've been submitted.
Okay, great. So once you register and log into your Atlas, into the Atlas portal, right there on the left menu on that home screen is where you see the list of the different applications or programs that are available for persons to apply to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the next question is, this registration is a one-time registration. So once you register on Atlas, you have your user account. In the platform, does it track your previous applications?
Yes, it tracks all of your previous applications. You also can go in and edit your business. For example, you renewed your business license or your tax compliance certificate. You can go back in, edit your existing business, and replace those documents if you wish to reapply.
Mm-hmm. And does it store your information where, when you fill out the form, some of the generic fields, are they pre-populated based on the information, the business information that's stored in the platform?
Well, when you go and edit your business, yes, your information will stay and it will be pre-populated. But if you go and create a new business, it won't repopulate. It will ask you to re-enter your information. So just remember, if you wish to change those documents, instead of selecting add a new business, you'll go to list of businesses and then select edit.
Sorry, could you go back to the start of that and just show us that again?
Yes, ma'am. So on the left-hand menu, you'll see where it says businesses. There will be a drop-down menu. It'll say list of businesses. Mm-hmm. This will have the list of businesses that you would have created on Atlas. Mm-hmm. What you will do here is then select edit. So if you wanted to create a new business, you would select add business. And if you want to edit an existing business, you'll select edit. And then when you want to replace those, maybe you got a new driver's license or a new passport, you can replace that by selecting Choose File here, or you can replace your business license or tax compliance certificate by selecting Choose File here, and that will replace the existing file that the officers at the Department of Revenue will see when they go and approve your application. Then you'll see a little button at the bottom that says Update, and that will update your information.
Okay, so your Atlas account is really specific to you as the user. The Atlas account, there's not a different Atlas account for each business. You, as whether you're the CFO or the manager, whoever's responsible for these applications, you would have a personal user account. And within that account, you might have multiple businesses or be representing multiple businesses. You then file business, add all of your different businesses into your one user account. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So if you can pull back up the platform there, and just go one more time. So you have your business. When you are applying for a concession, how do you apply that? How do you indicate which business you're applying for that concession for? You start with the business, or you start with the concession application?
You start with the concession application. So on the left-hand side, you'll see here where it says clothing. It'll drop down a list, and you'll see here where it says application submitted and new application, okay? So if we want to review application we already submitted, we would select that, and it would show us that we already have one submitted. If we wish to do a new application, we would select submit new form. Okay, and then at the top, you'll see where it says business. In this drop-down menu, it will have the list of registered businesses under that account. So just select the business that is applicable to this application.
Okay, fantastic. So, Mr. Bryce, oftentimes the ambition of digitization and moving systems online is to increase the efficiency of the management of these processes. Could you speak to the experience of you and the public officers who have been using Atlas and have been using these platforms? Have they been helping to cut out paper, to make it easier for you to review and process these applications? Has it actually cut down the time? Could you speak about your experience on, on the back end side of this process? Mr. Bryce, you could just unmute yourself.
Well,
Thanks.
Yeah, the online process is probably a little faster in that persons don't physically come here to drop off an application. But then there's a benefit. Well, not really. Yeah, so it's more efficient in a way. But because it's new, especially with the gateway, there are one or two things that we have to work out to make it more efficiently. But it's more efficient using the online process.
Okay, great.
But now they're doing now our workload is doubled now because now persons could lie in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night and send us an application. So you come in Monday morning, there's a whole heap of applications to process. That's just one of the I guess tricks of the trade for us on our side.
So what I suppose, from, again, the ambition of the whole digital transformation is to make services more accessible to the public. And I guess from that point of view, it's achieving its objectives. But I can certainly see how that, increases the load and the pressure on your department and on the system. But I think that that's definitely something to celebrate, the fact that these platforms are making these services more accessible to the public. Which is one of the key ambitions of the whole digital transformation. Mr.
Yes,
Miller.
it is. And then of course, you think normally wouldn't have applied, but now so they have to apply. So we have quite a few innovative businesses that we thought that I think if we didn't have this process, wouldn't use this platform. So yeah, it's definitely a benefit.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Miller, if somebody is going on Atlas and having any difficulty, is there a hotline? Is there an email? Is there somebody they can call? Hopefully not at 2 a.m. in the morning picking up the phone, but certainly is there, an online help desk where they can just search for their answers, or a number to call? How do they get help?
Well, yes. So what they would do, they would call over to the Department of Revenue, which is 702-1500, and they will facilitate tech support once it's requested. So you just speak to one of the revenue officers, explain to them the issue, and they will liaison with a technical officer who will then follow up with a call to assist with any issues that you're having with the portal.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And let me just confirm if we have any final questions. Okay, and Mr. Miller, could you just remind everybody of how they find Atlas? And if we
Yes.
could just pull back up the concessions that are available on the Atlas platform.
Yes, so what you will do is you'll go to atlas.revenue.gov.bs. Available exemptions right now include the clothing and shoes exemption. There is an exemption here for COVID-19 and employment. Okay, so I will allow the officers at the Department of Revenue to explain the business requirements for those exemptions, but those are the exemptions that are available currently on atlas.revenue.gov.bs.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for that demonstration of the Atlas platform. Again, we are going to transition into our next presentation in a few minutes, which is going to be on the e-procurement and suppliers registry. But just as a recap, the Atlas platform and all of these technology tools, don't be intimidated by them. We aren't at a stage as yet, or the government is not at a stage as yet, where there's just a single platform with a single-use login. But I'm sure the technical specialists at the Department of Digital Transformation are going to be pushing the government further and further towards a single login that allows for persons to have access to all the platforms. Right now, we do have to manage a couple of different things depending on what you're seeking to do. But again, if we just are properly informed about where to go and what to do, the services are available. And once you get into it, it really is a simplified process, and there is support available as well. So for access to a number of the concessions that are available through the Department of Inland Revenue and also the Revenue Unit, the Atlas platform is available for businesses to register on the platform, to make their applications for the concessions, and then hopefully, if they are successful with their approvals, to go ahead and have these benefits to help their businesses. The Atlas platform is available at atlas.revenue.gov.bs. Again, that's atlas.revenue.gov.bs. And that's where you can go in order to make application for the concessions that Mr. Bryce and Ms. Boodle would have just walked us through. Platform. All right, so we are going to move forward to talk about the e-procurement and suppliers registry. This is a platform that is now going to be the centerpiece of how government procurement is managed. What is government procurement? We're talking about basically government contracts. How government contracts are awarded, how the whole process of tenders and bids and securing and procuring goods and services by the various agencies and ministries of the government. This process is moving online, it's being digitized, and it's being transformed, driven by the recently enacted Public Procurement Act of 2021. This act comes into force on September 1st, and after such time, the government will be using its online platform, the e-procurement and suppliers registry, in order to manage the whole process of procurement. So why is this important? It's important for the business community in particular because if you want to be seen by the Ministry of Health, who's looking for a supplier of sanitizer, or if you want to be seen by the Ministry of Social Services that's looking for consultants to deliver psychological support programs for youth in public schools or something, who knows, whatever it is that your business is. If you want to be seen by government agencies, you need to be on the e-supplier registry. You need to register, you need to put your business information up there, and if you want to participate in bids or requests for proposals, you are going to have to submit all of your documentation, submit your proposals on the e-procurement and suppliers registry. So the training that we are about to walk you through now is a walkthrough of that platform to help you to understand how you register and how you use that platform. It is located at suppliers.gov.bs. Again, that is suppliers.gov.bs, and that is where both the suppliers, which are the businesses, and the buyers, which are the ministries and departments of agencies, both the suppliers and buyers will be using that portal to manage the whole system of public procurement. So with that, I would like to introduce Ms. Delarice Malone, who is a public officer in the Public Procurement Department at the Ministry of Finance. She has worked in government procurement for 4 years and is passionate about the e-procurement process and one of the foremost experts within the Ministry of Finance on the e-procurement and supplier registry. I'm going to turn over the platform to Ms. Malone, who is going to walk us through a demonstration with a few videos on the e-procurement and supplier registry. Ms. Malone, welcome and thank you.
Good morning and thanks for having me. Welcome to the e-procurement registry portal. This portal was designed to enhance the growth of small and medium businesses. As of September 1st, 2021, all government contracts can be contracted primarily through this e-procurement system. Today I will demonstrate to you how you would register onto the system. So we would first go to our browser, put in suppliers.gov.bs, and then we would register as a supplier. Once you're here, we're going to fill out the personal details, remembering that every field that has a red asterisk has to be filled out. So we would start with our title, first name, the last name, job title. I would be the CEO of my company, so I would put CEO, business NIB number, my email address, confirm email address, okay, country, Bahamas, password, confirm password, business name, that's the name of your business, address, city, Nassau, state, New Providence, zip code, telephone contact, main business activity. Now we can give them a brief description entailing what our business is about. You can put up to 1,000 words in this field, or you can be brief. Okay. Now we're in this field with the ISIC code. The ISIC code identifies a vendor with works, good, or services that is being offered by the vendor to the buyer procurement entity. Mr. Beyond Scott will elaborate a little bit more on the ISIC code. So we would press on to ISIC code. We would always make sure that the description box is highlighted as well as the OR box. So we would search. Press onto furniture, search. And once you find a code that your business can relate to, you can press on it. Bear in mind that it does not have to be one code. You can use as many codes as you want. So I would select code 31. Then I would paste. Okay. And there you have it. Other information, number of employees. I'm just starting out, so I'm going to put 1 to 4. Turnover, again, my business is just starting out, so I'll put 0 to 49K. How did you hear about this service? I would say social media. And then our verification part. We're going to check the box that says I'm not a robot. And then we're going to tick the box to accept the terms and conditions. Then we're going to register. Now, if you have made an error, the system would automatically let you know because you won't be able to move any further. And there it is. I do have an error, so what we'll do, we're just going to go back and make sure that everything is matching up. Bear in mind with your password, it have to have an uppercase as well as some other symbols as well as numbers. Okay, just double checking to see if there's any more errors. If they are not, you will have to press I'm not a robot once again. Register. Oh my. Password. Okay. Our system sometimes give us glitches even though we are putting in the correct things. This is what the developers now are working on, but don't give up. I don't know. Okay, confirmation, there you have it. We have already registered into the e-procurement suppliers registry. Now, that's the first part. The second part, I'll show you how to publish. So what you'll do now is we would log in using your credentials. Okay. And there you have it. Sarah Smith is now the supply administrator of her field. So what we'll do now, we're working from Profile Manager. We'll go here under Profile Manager and edit supplier profile. Okay. Now in this section, our main goal is to make sure that we have check marks on the side of our 8 questionnaire. So we will start with the company information. And again, we're only filling out things, the fields that has the red asterisk. So here we would press I confirmed, always save, registration number, I confirm, save, other offices, okay. We would go down once again, press I confirm, save, staff details, I confirm, once again we would save, business activities, once again I confirm, then we would save, we would do this throughout the process. Once again, save, contact information. Now in this field, we would want to make sure that our contracts section here is, you have to make sure that this is saved because sometimes the computer gives you an error. So even if you save, just go back and double check just to be sure that it is. Okay, legal information, I confirm once again and you save. Now before you publish, you would want to just go back and double check because the system would give you an error if everything is not done. So we would publish, and there we have it. The reason why is because we did not put in our company details. Okay. Contact name, because you're on the road and you don't have time to be answering calls. So what we'll do is we would put in contact name and their job title. We'll have her as our secretary. Email address. Okay, we would press I confirm, and then you would save. Okay, your validation period was successful. And if you want to continue, you would press save. And then publish once again. Okay, there you have it. We have check marks on 8 of our questionnaire, and we can now confirm and publish. Now, if you realize that you have done something that was not necessary or you have uploaded a wrong document, you can always unpublish and then go into the different fields and fix the mistake that you made. But this is now here. We are logged in to the system, and we can now be accessible for all government contracts. So what I'll do now is log out. And show you how you can access the opportunities as a supplier. So we will press search opportunities. And when an opportunity is up on the board, this is what the suppliers would see. So in order for you to bid or, put in anything for these opportunities, you would have to press view. Once you press view, the highlight opportunity would be highlighted as green. This indicates that the opportunity is open and you can access it by pressing the Access Opportunity button. Here you can upload and download whatever is necessary and whatever your buyer is looking for. And now we would have 2 short videos played. Thank you.
Registry Portal is an online tender management system which will host all opportunities relating to the government of the Bahamas. This process consists of 2 parts, and in this first video, we will cover the preliminary registration stage. Click the Login Register button on the home page. This will take you to the Login Registration page. Click Register as a Supplier. Fill out the basic information about yourself and your organization, paying special attention to any field with a required marker. Otherwise, registration will not be completed. Once the form is completed, click Register. A confirmation email will be sent to the email address you registered within 24 hours. On future visits to the site, click Login Register and input your credentials to complete the registration process and publish your profile. The second part of the registration process and publishing of your profile is explained in the next video. This is the second video that describes how to publish your profile and participate in the call for tenders. Once you've logged into the portal, there are a variety of activities available. The Profile Manager allows you to update and complete the 9 sections of the profile. Information about your organization, such as your VAT number, your ISIC code, business license, NIV number, and for non-Bahamians, the foreign country's national identification number may be used. You must click the Publish button so that the buyer community can find out about you quickly and easily. The Response Manager allows you to navigate all bids and responses to the bids that you've sent out. This manager also allows you to communicate with buyers. To access your response, click on the hyperlinked name. Each response has 3 steps necessary for a successful bid. Step 1 contains all of the documents provided by the buyer for a particular tender. Step 2 allows you, the supplier, to create a response for the buyer by filling out the provided questionnaire. Step 3 is the final validation, assuring that all of the needed information has been provided. Manage account and add users. As the name suggests, it allows you to make changes to your account, like your organization's name, as well as add new users to the account if you have colleagues that will be involved in the bidding process. Check out our many other supplier tutorials on the e-procurement and supplier registry portal at www.suppliers.gov.bs.
All right, well, welcome back and thank you very much for that overview and demonstration, Ms. Malone. We are going to now facilitate some more discussion and questions on the e-procurement and suppliers registry. We have Ms. Malone to answer technical questions about the process. We also have back online with us Mr. Carl Oliver and Mr. Breon Scott, both from the Public Procurement Department in the Ministry of Finance, who both spoke yesterday. So if there are any questions, again, on the Public Procurement Act, the process, and the e-procurement and supplier registry, the technical team is here available to answer those questions again. So just some of the things that were highlighted by Ms. Malone in that walkthrough. It's two parts of the process initially. The first one is just to be registered on the platform. And as you saw from her walkthrough, the registration is the shorter of the two processes, and it's very quick. Yes, it will require the exercise of some patience, because if you make a few mistakes, you'll get that rejection. But stick with the process, and even with the glitches, the process, once it's complete, is still very short. So that is the registration process that Ms. Malone would have walked through. And then the second part that we demonstrated was how do you update and publish your company profile. Again, why is it important for you to do this? Because you want to be seen by all of the government agencies and departments and units when they're looking to buy goods and services from the suppliers and business community. So you need to register on the portal, update and fill out your company profile, and publish it on the portal so that you could be seen and be able to participate in the procurement process. As Ms. Malone walked through the system, there were a couple of three things that at least came up for me that you should watch out for that could cause potential glitches. The first one is your email address. In the registration process, you have to type in your email address twice in order to verify it, which is pretty standard for most online registrations. But if you don't type your email address in correct in both instances, you will get an error. So pay attention to make sure that you put in your email address correctly in both instances. The second is with your password. Again, you have to put in your password twice. It's a verification system, part of a security protocol. If you input your password incorrectly in either one of those fields, you might get a glitch and an error message. So those are a couple of things to watch out for. And then finally, as a part of the registration, you have to declare your company's annual turnover. If you get any error at the end of the process and you have to go and correct that error, the turnover field has to be re-input every time. So just watch out for that. If you have to correct your email address or something else, you'll have to reselect your annual turnover before you submit your registration. So I'm going to go back over to you, Ms. Malone. Those were just some things that I picked up as you did the live demonstration. And those are things that are all too common, I'm sure. Are there any other common challenges or questions or complaints or issues that you find businesses have when they are registering on the platform?
No. Registering on the platform is pretty easy. Like you would have mentioned, the email and the passwords are the only difficulties. Once we have already established those two things, it's really easy to register.
Okay, thank you. So again, as with all online platforms and registration processes, just exercise a little bit of patience. Sometimes a field doesn't work and you have to go at it again. But as you saw from that walkthrough, the first registration part is a very quick process and relatively simple. So we have some other questions coming in from our participants. One of the questions is, what if I lose my login information and end up being locked out of my account? Can I create another supplier account under the same business name and for the same business? Ms. Malone, are you able to answer that?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, if you have forgotten your password or cannot access your account, we do have a forgotten password feature You can go onto that, press onto it. And we would select I'm not a robot, reset password, and it automatically goes to your email address. So you can work through resetting your password.
Okay, thank you. What about multiple users? One of the participants asked, I know that you can add multiple users to an organization. However, do I have to prove that they are employees or staff, or can I just add anybody as users to my account?
No, it's not necessary for you to prove that. You can just add them. There are no mandatory fields that indicates that you have to prove anything of them being such.
Okay. Is that something that you could show us in terms of where you go to add users? Don't want to put you on the spot.
Providing that I'm
but-
on a training site, it would only allow me to go so far.
Okay, all right. Yes, we are on the training platform right now. But when you do log into your portal, if you could just walk them through what that option looks like, or why would somebody need to do that?
Yes, ma'am. But if you have any in-depth concerns, you can always just contact our help desk, and we also have a query sheet. So if you can't get anybody on those numbers, you can always just put in a query, and we will reach out to you. So we're always here to help. Our numbers are listed, so you can always just find us, query it, or you can call us.
Okay, great. Thank you. The does the platform allow for push notifications to my email address or my cell phone so that I can get notifications about bids? Does the platform automatically send me messages to tell me when bids are available, either via email or my mobile phone?
I would think that would be a feature that you would put onto your cell phone, whether you would want it to ping to your phone to indicate that there is something out there. But if you don't have that feature, then the only thing you can do is just keep going back into the system and pressing search opportunity.
Thank you. And I can tell you that as a small business owner myself and registered on the platform, I regularly get pings in my email from new contract notice opportunities.
Right.
And so I know that, and I haven't done anything special, so that's definitely something that when you register on the system, that's why it's important for your email address to be accurate and to provide that, because I can tell you that I often get in my inbox a notice from the portal that just says new contract notice opportunities.
Right.
So that is something that you probably will be able to benefit from. I mean, that everybody would be able to benefit from. And the next question, I think I'm going to call on Mr. Oliver to facilitate this one, which the question is about placing a bid and the length of time it takes to get a response when somebody places a bid.
Thank you for the question, Noel. And I think you're referring to the bid coming from the procurement entity or from a ministry, huh? Is that correct? I mean, that's,
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. I think the participant is referring to if a bid is if there's a tender process and I submit my bid, how long does it take for me to get a response?
oh, it's coming from the vendor responding to an opportunity from the buyer or the procurement entity. There is a time frame. I think the bidding process, and Bjorn can add to this, for services and goods. I think it's 30 days, and I believe for work it's probably 45. But Bjorn can confirm that.
Yes, ma'am. So good morning. It's all dependent particularly on the bidding method, also exactly the bidding period. So we have a certain method where the bidding period opens and the bidding period closes. So once it's open, it's going to be open, and once it closes, that's when you could expect a response.
And what is just the range, Mr. Scott? In terms of the time periods for the different types of bids, what's the range in the timelines?
Well, for the different bidding methods, exactly, I outlined in the presentation yesterday. For competitive bidding method, it would be 30 bidding days. For restricted bidding method, it would be 20 bidding days. For selective bidding method, it would be 30 bidding days. International bidding method would be 40 bidding days. And for the request and for quotations and request for proposals is a minimum period of 30 bidding days.
Okay, so that is the period of time that you have to respond to the request. Is that what that means?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and once somebody does respond to the request and the bid is closed, how long does the government entity they required to take to make the decision and to get back to the vendors? Is there a stipulation or does that depend?
It is not really a stipulation, but it all depending on the scope of works and how many vendors that they have exactly that actually proposed to do that contract. After going through them and successfully completing the different criteria, then they would make that decision.
And when they make that decision, the notification is made on the platform and they would receive an automatic sort of notification of that once they're registered and they participated?
Yes, ma'am. And everything now has to be channeled through this electronic procurement supplier registry. So nothing will be done outside of this portal. You'll be known and made aware that you was successfully or unsuccessful in that bid.
Okay, great, thank you. So the next question is, Ms. Malone, if a business is already registered as a supplier, anything to do with the new law that comes into effect on September 1st would require them to have to register again?
No, ma'am. As long as you're already registered as a supplier and you are confirmed, there's nothing else you have to do. As long as you have all of your documents and they are current, you are good to go.
Okay, great. Are you able to pull back the section of the login where it showed the list of the, I think it was maybe 8 or so different criteria as a part of the company profile process? And just while you do that, again, just as a reminder, how the system works is it's a platform that allows buyers and suppliers to talk to each other. So who are the buyers? The buyers are the government departments, agencies, and ministries that are seeking to procure goods and services on behalf of the government in order to implement the various services and programs that are available. So all of the ministries are currently undergoing their own training or have been participating in training over the past months in order to ensure that all of the departments and agencies themselves are on the platform as buyers. And the process now for suppliers, for the vendors, for the businesses, is to ensure that we have everybody on the system so that the buyers and suppliers within the portal will be able to all participate in this procurement process. Were you able to pull up that list, Ms. Malone?
Section there, we would have to go through the whole process once again to get to that section.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes,
Are you
ma'am.
able to just recall some of those things that persons, I remember there was the company profile, there was employment information. Can you just remind us of those examples of the types of information that's going to be needed for the company profile?
Okay, you would need your business license. In that section, you would need your NIB number. You would need to upload invoice with your scope of works. And that's basically it for starting. And then they have a securities part, whereas you would answer some questions, whether your company was ever bankrupt or, you were in runnings with the law or anything like that.
Okay, great. So thank you very much, Ms. Malone. I'm just going to do one last check to see if there are any other questions on the e-procurement and supplier registry. I think that
Noel?
Yes, go ahead.
Can I add a few comments to the question that you raised with respect to the completion of a procurement process from the day it enters into the system, the closing of the bid. Now, the interesting thing is that, and based on Brian's comment, on average, subject to the procurement method that you use. It takes about 30 days from the day the opportunity enters the system to the closing of the bid. On average, about 30 days, depending on the procurement model that you use. After that, after the closing of the bid, unfortunately, the procurement department, we cannot say to government agencies the amount of time that they have to take to complete, the awarding of a contract. And it all depends on the threshold, as Breon would have alluded to yesterday, $50,000, in excess of $50,000, but less than $250,000. And some of these opportunities also have to go to the cabinet. So when the closure of the bid date arrives, it's out of our hands. So we can't say exactly when the bid process or the awarding of the contract will be completed. That's in the hands of the procurement entity or the government agency or the cabinet. So,
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification. So that was, sorry, we have one final question. Well, just as a reminder, persons who are going through that process now and are identifying any issues or when they go through the process, you can call the help desk numbers that are on the platform. Ms. Malone, I'm not sure if you could answer this one right now. It seems that one of our participants is going through the process, and they said that there's an option to select access opportunity. If you're familiar with this, the person is saying it's grayed out and cannot be selected. Why is that?
Access opportunity.
Are you familiar with what the person is referring to this time? Otherwise, I mean, we can circle back and answer that later, but if it's a quick answer now.
Yes, I would prefer to circle back and answer it, or they can take my number down, and I'll be able to walk them through.
Okay, we will we will reach out to you I think that person came in from online, so that we can connect you to Ms. Malone. So thank you for that question. We want to make sure that you're successful in your sign up, and we will connect you with Ms. Malone for that. So businesses, please get online, go to suppliers.gov.bs, register your business, complete your company profile, and get ready to participate in providing goods and services to the government. The platform is moving online as of September 1st, and the e-procurement and supplier registry is now going to be available at suppliers.gov.bs and will be the key platform to manage the entire procurement process for the government moving forward. Ms. Malone, thank you very much for your demonstration. Mr. Oliver and Mr. Scott, thank you for coming back and joining us again today. And as usual, if you have any other questions, our participants, you can continue to send them, and we will send them to the technical experts to get you feedback at a later time. All right, and we are now moving on to our final session for our two-day workshop. And this is on the My Gateway platform. My Gateway, I'm sure most Bahamians now know or have heard a little bit about Gateway, because the Department of Digitization and Transformation has been doing a lot of work in their public education to educate everybody about the new platform, where you can apply for a number of government services. And overall, eventually over 200 government services will be available on the My Gateway platform. To speak to us today and do a demonstration of My Gateway, we have two guests who I'll introduce. The first one is Ms. Elise Delancey, who is the Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister. Ms. Delancey holds a Bachelor of Science in Primary and Early Childhood Education and a Master of Arts in Curriculum and Instruction. Over her teaching career, she has served as the principal of junior and senior high schools, and also proudly served in the Cabinet Office and a number of other public offices. She is now the permanent secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for the Department of Transformation and Digitization. I can tell you I have had the pleasure of doing some consulting and working with Ms. Delancey, and she is a very energetic and vibrant permanent secretary who is a taskmaster and very passionate about the work of digital transformation in government. So I am pleased to ask Ms. Delancey to give an introductory remarks on the My Gateway portal. She will be followed by Mr. David Curry, who is an information technology specialist for the Department of Digital Transformation, of Digitization and Transformation. And he also will be doing the live demonstration. And Mr. Curry has over 33 years of experience in the IT field. So please, I welcome Ms. Delancey, who will be followed by Mr. Curry to give us an overview and demonstration of My Gateway.
Thank you, Noel. Let me just say publicly that it's always been a pleasure working with you and Carl Oliver. You have really held my hand through this process, and I'd like to say thank you once again. It is a pleasure to be with everyone today on this, on the Ministry of Finance's Boosting Your Business webinar. As we think about the subject of fiscal reform in the Bahamas, it is imperative that we integrate digital transformation into this process. As we are at a pivotal moment in our economic development, the use of technology undergirds the Bahamas on its road to becoming more competitive on the global stage by reforming and making it easier to do business here, not only for foreign investors, but for every day for Bahamians. We believe that incorporating digital transformation into fiscal reform will help to enhance government revenue, increase transparency and trust in government services, and reduce bureaucracy. I heard the comment a while ago earlier about the use of paper. This should also reduce our dependency on paper and manual processes. Allow me to provide a brief history of the milestones of the Digital Transformation Unit and its implementation of the digital infrastructure that forms the foundation of the digital economy. In 2019, the government entered into a $30 million agreement with the IDB to undergo a multi-year project that would foster the competitiveness of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The objective of the project is to make it easier for residents and businesses to do business in the Bahamas while enabling the government to digitize its services, strengthen cybersecurity, and improve and increase the use of ICT in the public service. Subsequently, DTU was created within the Department of Transformation and Digitization. A talented team of Bahamians and persons from the region, including programmers and developers, a cybersecurity expert, lawyers, project managers, change management practitioners, business analysts, and process re-engineers, monitoring and evaluation, help desk staff, testers, catalogers have been single-mindedly focused on the objective of this project, making it easier to do business in the Bahamas. And when I say focus, they are almost focused 24 hours a day, every single day. Under the guidance of the project of Senator the Honorable J. Kwesi Thompson, we have made continuous progress in our efforts to modernize government systems and create convenient, centralized, safe and secure access to online government services and a centralized spot for the collection at the main post office, In February 2021, DTU launched My Pilot Services, the pilot program in which government services were put online, and Bahamian citizens could register to receive access to online services and provide feedback on their experience. During the pilot program, We have made high demand government services from multiple agencies available in a single online portal. For example, requesting a police character, also known as a police character reference, also known as a police certificate from the Royal Bahamas Police Force, or requesting certified copies of birth, death, and marriage certificates from the Registrar General's office. The government has also begun its work on cybersecurity. In partnership with the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union, which is an agency of the United Nations, we are creating the Bahamas' first ever national cybersecurity strategy and its first national cyber incident response team, also known as the CERT. In March 2021, we assembled the inaugural meeting of top IT professionals for the country's first CERT. This team will be responsible for assessing the national cyber threat landscape and assuring that cyber threats to the government, such as security breaches, viruses, and potentially catastrophic incidents, are prevented or detected and responded to quickly and effectively. During May 2021, we also celebrated a major milestone in the digital transformation journey of the government of the Bahamas, the launch of mygateway.gov.bs, the centralized, safe, and secure way to request and pay for online government services. As a result, for the first time in Bahamian history, Bahamians can now conveniently access services from multiple government agencies in one place and collect documents requested from government agencies at a centralized location, the centralized collection center at the post office in the town center. And might I say, we are the first in the region to be able to do this. And we have done it in just less than 2 years, which in itself is remarkable. And let me say thank you to my entire team. Increasingly, Bahamians are recognizing the ease of accessing, requesting, and paying for government services online. Today, more than 25,000 Bahamians have registered on My Gateway, and there has been over 19,000 transactions. And this is before we have begun our focused public relations. And so we thank you for this opportunity again. In addition to renewing a driver's license, My Gateway users can access 21 services to date. Replacements for driver's license, applying for learner's permits for the driver's license, conducting deed searches, applying for deeds and documents, renewing a post office box rental or applying for a new post office box, applying for a housing service lot, applying for a notary public license renewal, or applying for a new notary public license. The prospect rate service lots that was included. Firearms license renewal, application for a birth certificate, marriage certificate, death certificate, police character reference, application for a new passport, and of course the services that you are talking about today. These accomplishments are the outcome of a strong collaborative working relationship with many government agencies, including the Ministry of Finance, to meet shared digital transformation objectives, to incorporate the services of their agency on My Gateway, and to familiarize their employees with the digitization processes and requirements. The DTU has also engaged key local private sector partners. As a result, we have created an integrated network of top professionals with deep expertise and a strong foundation on which the digital transformation of the Bahamas could be built. And our team is young, so we expect that this effort will be sustainable. I thank you again for inviting us here, and I urge each and every Bahamian to visit mygateway.gov.bs. See how we are making government work for you and register to access the currently available online government services. And we are hoping that very, very shortly, we will be bringing on a number of other services, including the vehicle registration. Hallelujah. And I thank you all. And now I'm going to turn it over to David Curry.
Pleasant good morning. Thank you so much, PS. I trust that everybody's doing well. So this morning I'm going to take you through two videos, and one being how to apply on the mygateway.gov.bs to register for the services, and the other one would be one of the finance services for the Ministry of Finance. And we'll then entertain any questions thereafter. Thank you.
Online service portal. Today, I will be showing you how to sign up on the portal mygateway.gov.bs. Go to your web browser, type in mygateway.gov.bs, then press enter. Screen below will appear. Click Log In. Click to review terms and conditions, privacy policies, then select Sign Up. Once you've read the welcome screen, select Yes. Fill in the required information, select the Next button. Fill in the required information, select the Next button. Fill in the required information, select the Next button. Fill in the required information, select the Submit button. Please check your email to activate your account. Below is the email that you would receive. Select the Verify My Account button. You should now be taken back to the landing page for you to sign in using your email address and password. Put in your email address and password. If you'd like the computer to remember this information for future purpose, click the Remember Me box, then click Sign In.
Welcome to My Gateway, the Government of the Bahamas' online service portal. Today, I will be taking you through the process of applying for Family Island Development Encouragement Act exemption. Go to your web browser and type in mygateway.gov.bs and then press enter. A screen similar to the one below will appear. Click Log In. Put in your email address and password. If you would like the computer to remember this information for future purpose, select the Remember Me box, then select Sign In. Once your information is authenticated, you will be carried to the next screen where you will be asked to enter an authentication one-time password that was sent to your email address that you provided during sign-up. At the bottom right of the screen is a sample of what the OTP email looks like. Once you have typed in the code, you should now gain access to the site. Your dashboard will now appear. This will have your personal account information as well as a list of the government agencies that will be offering the online services. From the left navigation pane, select Ministry of Finance. Then select Family Island Development Encouragement. Select View Application to review all past applications, or select Apply Now to apply for a new certificate. Please choose whether your application is for individual or business use, and then upload all of the required documents. Please note that only Andros and the Southern Bahamas can participate currently. Once you're done, click both checkboxes agreeing that the information provided is accurate, and then click the Next button at the bottom of the screen. Once you have read through the About This form information, select the I agree icon to continue. You will now be asked to leave your feedback. Select the Yes button in order to do so. Select a service rating icon and then make any comment desired and select the Submit button. A thank you message will now appear and you can select the Close button. A screen will now appear stating that your application has been successfully submitted. Select the Done button. Your application request page will now appear. This will have your application ID, the date and time of your application, and your application status. You would know now that you would have completed the application process. For further information, you can reach us at the email address below or the telephone numbers listed.
Thank you very much for going through a demonstration of the My Gateway platform, P.S. Delancey and Mr. Curry. We are going to now open up the floor for questions about applying for the Ministry of Finance concessions and programs on the My Gateway platform and the My Gateway platform in general. As promised, we have invited back onto the call and the session Ms. Gaynell Roll, Undersecretary in the Financial Secretary's Office at the Ministry of Finance. Ms. Roll is joining us back because I promised we would be able to provide some more details about the employment incentive. That is another program for small businesses. This program you actually apply for also on the My Gateway platform. And so we have P.S. Delancey, Ms. Roll, and Mr. Curry available to answer questions about My Gateway and the business concessions and tax incentives. So I'm going to open up the floor now for questions.
Ms. Nichols, also the program manager for Michael Hamilton, he's also on.
Oh yes, thank you, P.S. That's Mr. Michael Hamilton, who is the program manager associated with the My Gateway project and the Department of Digitization and Transformation. So the first question is about access to the My Gateway platform, specifically for Bahamians living abroad. When will we be able to request services on the platform? P.S.
That's Michael. That's for Michael.
Okay, Michael, could you?
Good morning, everyone. We have been very deliberate about the sequence of onboarding persons onto the platform. There are legal issues that need to be considered in the online world. It's not the same as the walk up over the counter situation. For example, GDPR rules apply whenever you interact with a citizen, a European citizen online. So their laws come into effect, even if the said citizen is not within Europe at that point in time. So therefore, if one from France or Britain or Spain comes onto the platform, immediately the fact that we're serving them brings us under that legislation and that jurisdiction. So we have had to be ultra cautious. Nevertheless, our aim is to be able to open My Gateway up to all persons in 2022. Right now, we have been focused on Bahamians living in Bahamas. We have about 11 different categories identified. Next, we will be looking at Bahamians outside of the Bahamas because there are logistic concerns regarding how to deliver the outputs, given that not all outputs today are digital. So for example, a birth certificate, it would mean that we'd need to courier it to the person overseas, will possibly work with the embassy or high commission there to effect delivery. or an international courier service. So firstly, we were focused on getting the services working properly. Then we're looking at widening it to outside of the country. Another group that would be very interested in getting on the platform would be persons who are in the Bahamas for an extended period of time. So those persons on work permits, residents, etc. So we're looking at onboarding them in the fastest possible manner. And then, of course, there's the category that is usually a little bit tricky, which is children, because then you also have to get into the legal bits about who should apply for the child. So you could say, well, I'm the father of the child, but the mother has legal custody. So how do we deal with all of these things? And those are the things we're working through. So there are some things that are not necessarily technology related, but we still have to address them to ensure that we get off on the right foot.
Thank you very much for that comprehensive answer. I think that probably would have educated a lot of people on the different intricacies and legal dynamics associated with deploying these online platforms. I want to turn a question now to Ms. Roll. When Mr. Bryce and Ms. Boodle from the Revenue Unit walk through all of the business concessions that are available through the Revenue Unit, I had also indicated that right now applications are open for a new employment tax incentive that's designed to help businesses who are struggling right now during the pandemic but need new staff. The minister earlier had indicated that one of the government's objectives is to drive private sector employment. So could you just share a few of the details about what is this opportunity and what can businesses benefit from?
Okay, thank you so much for the question, Noel. It's a continued effort that was tried by the government. If most businesses would recall from our tax credit tax deferral program, where employers were invited to participate in that program. We have now extended that program to include where employees can go and employ new employees, up to 10 employees, up to a tune of $400 per week. And the credit for that will be applied to their account, their VAT and their business license account being processed through the Department of Inland Revenue. So the process is that you would log on to My Gateway. You would make an application under the Ministry of Finance tab there. And once you do that, you'll click on for the employment credit program. Once you do that, that vetting is then sent through to the Department of Inland Revenue. They will, by return email, send you an acknowledgement acknowledging that you are registered for that program. You then go ahead and you employ those persons, new employees, up to a total of 10 employees, $400 a week maximum is the amount that those employees can make. At the end of that monthly period, your filing period, you're going to send into the Department of Inland Revenue proof that you would have hired those persons, and then the department will go into the processing of giving you the credit. What type of proof do you send? You're going to send your C-10 form from National Insurance, where you would have paid national insurance for these persons. You're also going to send the document, your payroll document, supporting that information. Initially on registering, what they're going to ask you for is proof of your current employment status with the employees that you have. You would provide that to us on registration, and that information would be as of the 31st of May, your employment status as of the 31st of May with the employees that you have there, and we will match that again when you file for NIB. Executive members are not considered in this. Managing directors are not a part of this. This is for anybody from a manager level below, and up to a total of $400 per week per employee to a total of 10 employees.
Thank you very much, Gaynell, for that overview and for jumping back on the session with us today. So again, this is another opportunity available for businesses right now. Applications are open, and the My Gateway platform that we just demonstrated is where you go to apply for this tax credit. All businesses have obligations for business license, for VAT, their VAT obligations, and this employment incentive allows you to receive a tax credit, which you can then apply towards supporting the payroll for your new employees to help grow your business and to also help with to provide employment to Bahamians who have been challenged and struggling through the pandemic. So thank you very much for that overview. We have another question about the My Gateway platform. And this question is about canceling the application for services. If you apply for a police record, for example, and you no longer need it, is it possible to cancel that application and get a refund? Can Mr. Curry, could you please answer that?
So I prefer.
That's Mr. Hamilton.
Oh, I do apologize. Mr. Hamilton, go ahead.
To Mr. Hamilton.
You can cancel the application and request a refund. As it is today, however, you would have to contact the help desk to effect that for you.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question is about applying for multiple police records at the same time. Can I apply for multiple police records on the My Gateway platform or just one?
Okay, so as simple as it sounds, that's actually an ambiguous question because multiple could be multiple for me or multiple could be one for me and one for other people. So let's go with the latter first. You are only expected to be applying for yourself for any service on My Gateway. So each person should have their own account and apply for themselves. Now you're going to ask me, which I think is another logical follow-up question. But what if my dad is in the hospital and I need something to airlift him or whatever? Fine, reasonable question. What we will be coming out with is a proxy where two persons on My Gateway, one can identify the other as a proxy and that person will accept that they are the proxy acting on behalf of the person A. So person A indicates that person B, in this case, Michael indicates that David Curry is the proxy. David says, yes, I know Michael, I'll do this for him. And David does the transaction and David can also collect the outputs. We haven't launched that yet, but that is coming. Under exceptional cases, however, because we are here to serve, under exceptional cases, we do allow with written consent for David to do a pickup of the output for me, Michael Hamilton. But again, as I said, that's under exceptional circumstances. Now let's go to the multiple cases of a police record for me. Can I apply for 3 police records for myself? Today, yes, but not as easily as you would want. So you can't put in there, give me 3 copies. And we realize that weakness and we will be addressing that because we've found out that some persons might actually want more than one because they're doing multiple things. So we will allow you to put the number in and you'll be able to pay for 3, 4, how many ever you need for yourself in one go.
Okay, thank you very much. Throwing another question back to Ms. Roll. Ms. Roll, are the employment incentive program with the tax credits, is this for any business or is this also targeted towards small businesses?
This is for any business that seeks to get in new employees. And this program runs until December 31st. So you have up until December 31st where you can add those employees and make requests for those concessions.
So talk to me about this deadline. Does this mean how long, for example, so if I apply before December, I'm successful. For how long am I able to get these tax credits applied? Is that what expires in December, or could you just explain that?
Okay, the actual application process expires in December for you to make the application process. The tax credit accumulates until June of next year. Say, for example, a person might say, well, I am applying for this tax credit, putting in there, but I really don't owe the government any money. So what then happens to me? How am I going to benefit from that? How am I going to utilize that? That credit remains with us and it stays with us. It doesn't expire. So whenever you accumulate any expense with the government, whether it's business license or value-added tax, that credit is used against that expenditure that you would have with the government.
Okay, and so you would be able to accumulate that credit for this fiscal year. So even though the credit will sort of roll over to be applied beyond this fiscal year, one, you have to apply before December 31st.
Yeah.
Two, the credit accumulates within this fiscal year. And then three, the credit can be applied whenever it is your tax obligation builds up to that amount.
Excellent.
That's
correct?
correct?
A good overview.
Okay, great. So again, to the business community, this is another important deadline. You have the ability to accumulate tax credits for up to 10 new employees this fiscal year in order to support your business and the payroll for your line staff, essentially. But you have to apply before December 31st. And I'm pretty sure this application will require you to be compliant with your previous tax obligations. So again, we emphasize, don't wait until you need a service to be compliant. Make sure that you stay compliant with your obligations so that when these opportunities arise, it doesn't become a roadblock. So December 31st, you have until then to log on to mygateway.gov.bs and apply for the tax incentive to support your payroll as a part of the government's current initiative. So thank you very much for that explanation, Mr. Roll. So circling back again to the My Gateway platform. We spoke about the Ministry of Finance's services, but could you just confirm that once you log into My Gateway, this is the same place, the same login where you deal with a police record, the employment incentive program, and the affordable homes or any other of the 21 services that you mentioned is currently on the system?
That is indeed correct. And there will be new services launched every single month. So look out for more services coming from the Royal Bahamas Police Force soon, for example, fingerprinting, chassis check, among others. Look out for more services coming from Road Traffic Department. We're working on services for Ministry of Agriculture right now. And we will be looking at doing some services with Ministry of Finance, additional services, DIR, etc. In coming months.
So P.S. Delancey, a question for you. I mean, I guess the My Gateway platform is now a good way to track how the digital transformation is going in different ministries or agencies, because to the extent that you have a service on My Gateway is maybe an indication of you know, how your department or agency has adopted new technology platforms. Could you just give us some insight that is everybody on board with this? How are the ministries adapting and adjusting to moving in this new direction? And can the public feel confident that, you know, we really meet the target where all government services will eventually be on this platform?
Okay, so I'll take that one for the PS. So let's say this. There are 9 agencies for which one can access services today. However, here's the kicker. There are more agencies connected than the 9. For example, when you sign up on My Gateway for an account, it automatically verifies your NIB information in real time with the NIB office using their database. So even though you don't have a service that says request an NIB or renew my NIB or anything like that on the platform today, they are key in the delivery of services on My Gateway. So I just wanted to point that out, that there are some persons who are working really hard in the background that sometimes don't get the credit because they're not in the front, right? So in this case, that's one of them. So we need to be very clear about that. The aim for the project is to put 200 services online. However, For the platform to really maximize its full potential, the government would want to put services on even after the program ends and eventually have all services available through My Gateway.
Okay, great. That's great to know. And I think over the past 2 days, we've emphasized that a part of the digital transformation process happening across government is both simplifying processes as we digitize them, consolidating processes, which is the integration of the different backends of the departments and the agencies, which we would have just learned is happening within the My Gateway platform, and automation, so that there are less manual processes required on both the users and as well as those public officers that are managing all of these processes. And so you can see that's happening on My Gateway, that's happening at the Department of Inland Revenue, and that's happening in many different areas. And sometimes when so much is happening, in fact, it can sometimes feel like nothing is really happening, because I can tell you it's difficult to really educate persons about all of the different activities, and there can be information overload sometimes. But I think you'll see, at least from these 2 days, that there's a lot of work going on. And bit by bit, the public is going to start to see more and more fruits of this labor as the different teams continue to progress. So I just have a few final questions. The next question is about payment. How does My Gateway work in terms of being able to pay for online services? Is that integrated into My Gateway right now, the payment of government services?
The payment is integrated, so everything is real time. Once you make any payment on My Gateway, immediately the treasury system is updated in real time. So down to the line item that relates to that particular service. So there's nothing that anyone needs to do to move the funds around to handle their accounting to say, oh, it's for this service. So it's down to the service, not even at the agency level, it's at the service level.
Okay, fantastic. So not only can you apply for these programs and receive them when you are approved, you can pay for all of these services. And that's more and more government services now facilitating online payment. So thank you for that clarification. And the final question is about if I get stuck and I need help and the system isn't working, whether it's me, the user, that's not working it properly, or the system itself has a glitch. How do I get help? What do I do if I'm trying to apply for this great employment incentive and the system just is not working out?
Well, you can contact the help desk. We have a trained set of staff there. Normally, they are able to handle most of the requests. The ones that they cannot address are escalated to our level 2 contact center. And if they cannot address it, it goes to one or two places, because it could mean that it's something technical to do with the software, which means it goes to the level 3, which are the developers that we have on staff. And let me just use this opportunity to give a plug to them, because everything that you're touching on My Gateway, anything you see on the screen, was built by a young Bahamian right here in the Bahamas. 100% homegrown application. So if it's a software issue, it goes up to the development team. If it's an agency issue, because it might be a policy related issue or something like that, then we escalate it to the agency for their resolution.
Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting to the end of our seminar. I would like to thank the technical teams working in the Department of Digitization and Transformation, P.S. Delancey. We thank you, Mr. Curry. Thank you for joining the program as well. And Mr. Hamilton, who facilitated all of those questions. And again, Ms. Roll, thank you very much for coming on to make sure that we could cover the Employment Incentive Program. And for that very informative session about the My Gateway platform. And moving to close, we just are going to hear again from our Chamber of Commerce partners and a representative on behalf of the Ministry of Finance. We've had 2 full days of seminar, of trainings and informational sessions. And I would like to please invite Mr. Carl Oliver back on to just give some closing remarks on behalf of the Ministry of Finance. Okay, thank you, Mr. Oliver.
I believe I'm up.
Yes, you're with us.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Noel. And in closing, I wish merely to say that over the last 2 days, we have had some very interesting sessions with respect to government support to enhance the involvement of the private sector, in particular micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in the development of the country, notwithstanding the current circumstance. I know that my colleague from the revenue section just alluded to various concessions that are available to small businesses and the means of accessing these concessions. Salient information was also provided on the Public Procurement Act and the importance of vendors or providers of goods, services, or works to register on the e-procurement portal to participate in procurement opportunities. I reiterate, as was conveyed earlier by colleagues, that contacts for all subject matters discussed have been provided. Hence, any queries on issues with respect to accessing concessions, resources from the Small Business Development Center, registration on the e-procurement portal, and further information on the Atlas program or the My Gateway platform, please do not hesitate to contact the help desk for each agency that is spearheading these initiatives. To Noel, again, I express gratitude on behalf of all the presenters, to the comms team, and look forward to participating in future workshops organized by your team. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oliver. And I know you're not a big fan of the camera, so the fact that we convinced you to come on with your camera and also we get those kudos, it means a lot to us. So thank you very much. And now I would like to ask Dr. Walden Russell to join us. He is the Chief Executive Officer at the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation. Dr. Russell is going to bring some final remarks on behalf of the Chamber and our vote of thanks.
Thank you, Noel. We've come to the end of this webinar under the caption, Boosting Your Business, Government Reform Working for You. I have the pleasure of acknowledging and thanking the many contributors to this important event. Foremost, kindest thanks for the leadership team from the OPM, the Ministry of Finance, and the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation. Most notably, Senior Senator, the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, the Minister of State for Finance, Elise Delancey, Permanent Secretary at the Office of the Prime Minister, and with responsibility for the Department of Digitization and Transportation and Transformation. Gaynor Rule, the Undersecretary for the Ministry of Finance, Crystal Rutherford Ferguson, Chairlady of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation, and all the executives of the BCC. Carl Oliver, Deputy Director of Economics, Telman Bryce, Senior Assistant Director of Revenue. And of course, we extend a warm thank you to the host, Nicole Nichols, Communications Consultant for the Ministry of Finance, as well as the presenters, Davina Bain, Executive Director of Access Accelerator, Breon Scott, Finance Associate at the Ministry of Finance, Jasmine Agiv, Finance Associate at the Ministry of Finance, and Mehilya Boodle, Revenue Analyst, Ministry of Finance. And our trainers, Charles Miller Jr., David Curry, and Delaris Malone. All of you did an excellent job. We also recognize the contributions of the Public Procurement Unit, the Finance Management Unit, the Digital Transformation Unit, the Revenue Unit of the Ministry of Finance, and Burton Wallace and technical team for the Movie Productions Limited, as well as John Williams, the event coordinator. Last, but by no means least, we wish to acknowledge the Chamber members and the participants. The Ministry of Finance and the Chamber appreciate your attendance and the excellent questions you asked. As noted by the Minister, our sincere hope is that this information presented in this webinar will further promote the sustained and accelerated economic growth and the ease of doing business in the Bahamas. Again, kindest thanks to all of our participants. Please enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Very much, Dr. Russell, and thank you again to the Chamber for partnering with the Ministry of Finance so that the team could have executed this two-day workshop. I want to acknowledge the Central Communications Unit in the Ministry of Finance, who I work with for executing and putting on this event, and the work that they, the great work that they continue to do. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of our 2 days. We thank you very much, ask you to stay safe, and bid you a great day.